Hello, good evening. Time now to check out what's trending in the world of business with me, Pius Kojo Baka. Senior lecturer at the University of Ghana, Dr. Priscilla Chumesi Bafo is pressing on government to ensure fiscal discipline in order to achieve the macroeconomic targets in the 2024 budget. According to her, the weakness in the economy is influenced by overspending in some sectors, which doesn't benefit the real sector. She spoke to journalists at the 2024 Post-Budget Forum by KPMG and the UNDP.
I think that from where we have come from, a single-digit inflation, the economy has gone through tough times, reaching an all-time high of 54%. And so in that sense, the 15% is a moderate, target, although I must say that it's achievable, but it has to be achieved with a lot of discipline, particularly discipline on the fiscal side, in the sense that the gains we are seeing as a result of some of the constraints that have been put in place. And given that 2024 is an election year, it is something that we are watching the space to see whether the target is something that would be achieved. How would this target be achieved? I think that when you go into the determinants of inflation, food is one of the key determinants. And so, for instance, if the Planting for Food and Jobs program, the phase 2, is taken off with emphasis on placing value addition, then essentially I believe that it should not be an unattainable target. But looking at where we've come from, if we are not able to control and maintain the stability on the exchange rate front, we know that a lot of the inflation is as a result also of the volatilities in the currency. So all these are at play, but I think that overall I would say that it's okay.
Still with the 2024 Post-Budget Forum, the United Nations Development Programme has lauded government's quest to concentrate on meeting some targets of the Sustainable Development Goals in the 2024 budget. According to the UN agency, issues of tax waivers on raw materials for locally produced sanitary pads and the allocation of funds for agriculture and job creation for the youth will help in meeting key targets of the SDGs. Here's Chief Economist for Ghana and Gambia, Dr. Fatamata Sise.
The forum was aimed at bringing out some perspectives on key policies in the 2024 budget for the private sector. The government said it is committed to supporting private sector growth with the introduction of some tax waivers and policies in the budget. Reacting to the developments, Chief Economist at the UNDP, Fatmata Sise, lauded the initiative and urged private sector businesses to take advantage and participate in some of the initiatives.
But especially for their contribution to the SDGs. Already, financing has been established here in Ghana of what it takes to achieve the SDGs. And the information is Ghana needs $43 billion every year to be able to achieve the SDGs. That's a huge budget. So regardless of the initiatives, which are of course commendable that we see on the budget for 2024, it means there's a big room for many other stakeholders to play a part in achieving the SDGs. There's the Youth Start program that government is working on. There's a work around MSMEs and actually moving people from the informal sector to the formal sector. There's a lot of poverty reduction initiatives that the government has.
Meanwhile, senior partner at KPMG, Anthony Sapon, believes the budget will set a growth path for businesses if all the policies are implemented to the letter.
Most of the economic indicators really went on a flight: inflation, exchange rate. And these are not signs that are good for business, because businesses need stable macroeconomic environment so they can predict with some reasonable certainty. So this budget being anchored in the theme of pursuing macroeconomic stability and growth, it's really fundamental for our journey into stabilizing the economy. And you see that from middle of this year, the signals have started showing inflation coming down, September at 38% and of course 35% in October. The exchange rate relatively has stabilized, and this is a signal that the budget should anchor these stabilities. And when the budget does that, then it allows businesses to be able to plan, it allows businesses to be able to forecast with reasonable certainty and plan their growth.
The KPMG UNDP post-budget forum was under the theme, Pursuing Growth Within a Stable Macroeconomic Environment.
More on the economy, and pressure is mounting on Ghana's creditors to expedite action to get an agreement with the country. This is expected to happen before the next International Monetary Fund Executive Board meeting to approve $600 million as second tranche of funds under its economic support program. Here is more.
The 2024 budget was prepared on the back of the ongoing economic program with the International Monetary Fund. Speaking at the Budget Digest by auditing and accounting firm PwC, which is part of measures to ensure further and better understanding of the document, Director of Economic Strategy and Research at the Ministry of Finance, Dr. Alhassan Idrisu, disclosed that there is pressure on the country's creditors to complete the debt restructuring processes.
We need to make some progress with regards to the official bilateral creditors, with regards to the MOU that we have to reach with them, which would basically detail out reliefs which are consistent with the debt parameters under the program. Some progress has been made. Ghana has done its part. So there's a lot of pressure on the creditors as well to also do their part so that that comfort or MOU would come out. As soon as that comes out, then we are good to go with regards to the board. The prior action for the first review was actually preparing a budget which is consistent with the fiscal path under the IMF program, and we've done that.
Meanwhile, reacting to the policies in the budget, country partner at PwC, Vish Ashangbo, told Joy Business that government is in a tight corner, hence the necessary measures taken in the budget.
For us at PwC, we find that the policy and the budget is actually consistent with expectations, in the sense that obviously we have an IMF program that sets out a framework and sets out some indicators that we are working towards. So really it was no surprise that the 2024 budget turned out as it did. Yeah.
Some of the stakeholders and panelists wish government could do more to provide relief for the business community.
Expecting, like I said, a lot of various reliefs, especially for the private sector and obviously for individuals, because times are very hard. Having said that, I can understand and appreciate the government also keeping it in such a way that it was sort of neutral.
Trade in the first half of 2023 shows that imports and exports were substantially higher than in the same period as in 2022. The value of both exports and imports were higher in the first half of 2023 by 24.3 billion cedis for imports and 19.6 billion cedis for export. Now, according to the 2023 mid-year trade report released by the Ghana Statistical Service, China and Canada are Ghana's preferred place of imports. There is more in the following Business Desk reports. According to the 2023 mid-year trade report, Ghana's trade dynamics have undergone a noteworthy transformation, marked by a trade surplus of 2.4 billion cedis in the first half of 2023. This is in contrast to the trade deficit of 2.3 billion cedis in the same period of 2022. Despite this positive trend, Ghana's reliance on exports of gold remains conspicuous, with the precious metal accounting for over 23.1% of all exports. Cocoa products and edible fruits and nuts accounted for 80.3% of total exports, while 10 food items imported in the first half of 2023 constituted more than 50%. Professor Samuel Kobnenim is the government statistician.
Our vulnerability from a food import point of view continue to relate with 4 countries and 5 specific commodities, with wheat contributing 10.9% of our total share of food imports. Canada is the major country we are importing from. Vietnam for rice, about 3/4 of the rice cereals that we are importing. Relying heavily on Brazil for sugar and meat, and relying on Belgium for about 1/5 of our meat imports. From a regional perspective, especially from an export point of view, Chair, clearly we have not taken advantage of what should happen in the other regional blocks. Minimal is happening in the East African region, in the Central African region, and even in the Southern African region. We are yet to harness the full potential of export in these blocks of regions in the African continent.
He tells Joy Business, China and Canada remains Ghana's preferred place of imports for both food and non-food items like cereals and grains products, sugar, meat, machinery, iron and steel, plastics, amongst others.
From a total import point of view, we identified our reliance on China to be predominant, and not predominant only in a single commodity, but a variety of commodities. We found the dominance of China in the area of chemical products, in the area of machinery and electrical equipment. So China comes up strongly as our major reliant country when it comes to imports. This gives us the concern to think about the political environment and the macroeconomic situation, so that in the event where there are any disorders in China, it wouldn't affect the macroeconomy that we have.
Reacting to this development, Director of ISE, Professor Peter Kotti, called for strategic policies that will enable the country become self-sufficient.
I think we should look within and also explore from the continent, especially from the sub-region, what we can import within the economy. There are some commodities that we import. You know, the details are all there. It's quite striking. What can we do to minimize some of this? What can we do to grow more of such commodities and rather consume what we grow? Otherwise, the effect on the exchange rate will continue to heighten, and that is not good for our economy. We should be independent. I think we are becoming too dependent on imported commodities, which doesn't augur well for us.
The 2023 Media Trade Report provides a comprehensive overview of trade statistics for the first half of the year, offering valuable insights for decision makers. For Joy Business, Pius Kojubaka. And to some other stories, the Chief Executive of the Ghana Tourism Development Company, UNDP, has pledged that government will do all it can to meet the target of 2 million air travel arrivals by 2025 to increase revenue. According to him, government has worked assiduously to improve Ghana's visibility on the continent and beyond to position the country as the preferred destination for tourist, trade and investment activities. He was speaking at the Middle East and Africa Duty-Free Association. The Middle East and Africa Duty-Free Association Conference brought together representatives of airports, retailers and premium brands all over the world to encourage meaningful exchanges between industry stakeholders. Participants of the conference recognized Africa as an important market for the travel and retail industry. In an interview with Joy Business, Chief Executive of the Ghana Tourism Development Company, UNDP, said government has improved Ghana's visibility in the world, and this is expected to result in an increase in tourists arriving in the country.
More importantly is that for us in the tourism industry, it creates country visibility. That for the last 1 month, the last 6 months of planning of this conference, and in the last few weeks, at least within the MATFA ecosystem, the MATFA ecozone, everybody will be talking about Ghana. We have attracted over 300 participants and delegates from across the world, in the Middle East, from within Africa itself, from Asia, from the Americas, from Europe in general, all descending here in Accra to participate in a conference like this. So for us, the benefit is enormous and it's quite significant. Our hotels have received at least 300 guests in addition to the guests that we would have had, and that is significant for us. If averagely everybody is spending $200-300 a night, and they are here averagely for 3 nights, it gives us an idea of the kind of benefit the country is getting. As I mentioned, those who have been to our tourist sites, those who are buying local artifacts, those who are eating in our restaurants and enjoying our public transportation services, collectively will run perhaps into the millions of dollars just by attracting a conference like this. So it is not just for this conference, but it is a global strategy of the government that has been espoused by Honorable Dr. Awal severally, that we want to hit a target of $5 billion and hitting a target of 2 million passenger inbound traffic numbers coming through our ports. Once we translate this one, in the next 2 to 3 years, his target is the year 2025 to be able to hit this target of 2 million inbound traffic plus $5 billion travel receipts. I think this is significant in contributing to the target that the Honorable Minister and His Excellency the President has set for the sector.
President of the Middle East and Africa Duty-Free Association, Sharif Tolan, said improved airport infrastructure is key to increasing commercial revenues.
Recent venue for this conference like Oman and Bahrain showed the transformative impact that airport infrastructure can have on commercial revenues. And we are certain that this will be the case in Abu Dhabi as well. Here in Africa, our industry also is reaping the benefits of investment in transport infrastructure and in tourism. That is not just in the established market like Kenya, Egypt, Seychelles, and South Africa, but also in emerging markets that merit our close attention and support. I am especially excited about our industry here in West Africa.
The Middle East and Africa Duty-Free Association also pledged to support the growth and development of the retail industry in Ghana and Africa. Still watching Prime Business. Now, flag bearer of the NDC, John Dramani Mahama, has assured the Customs Amendment Act 2020 will be reviewed to enable the importation of salvaged vehicles. Though the implementation of the act is suspended, the former president believes it will negatively have an impact on artisans and the transport business. Nanaya Ojima was at the Techiman market, where the former president engaged with economic groupings in the area.
The Building Ghana tour is characterized by town hall meetings focused on documenting challenges of various groups. Artisans at the Techiman magazine expressed disaffection with the Customs Amendment Act. The act, among other things, provides incentives for automobile manufacturers and assembling firms registered under the Ghana Automotive Manufacturers Program. It prohibits importation of salvaged motor vehicles and cars over 10 years of age into Ghana. But John Mahama believes the ban on salvaged cars could be limited to government agencies. Since government purchase cars more than any individual and also have the purchasing power, they should buy from the assembling plants so that they can also make profits.
Use one na airbano and yesu yenya kakra etimito. Nti samra mode atoso say yemfa home use there.
For those who can't buy new cars, they will have to import the salvaged ones. When we return to power, we will make sure that we make changes in the act.
If we say sa use cars no ebi apem kakra bi.
To modernize the vehicle mechanic trade, the former president admitted the need to train artisans in modern technology for the business. He explains plans of the NDC government when it regains power.
Probably vice president, your magazine for our Kumasi Smido, your friend.
When I was vice president, we partnered with Smido at Some Magazine to construct a training center and equip it with all modern machinery to aid training of apprentices.
And also Ejumanibi. Senebeya, Enkobase, Emrebi Bedruwa, Yadekaba, Unhunya, Oye. And also Eyadea, was a Yeshe.
Meanwhile, Mr. Mahama has insisted on the legalization of tricycle business.
NDC address a sign. Yaba, you legalize it, Prajiani or Okada. Naya regulating.
Business entities have been encouraged to make investments in their communities through corporate social responsibilities. This, some observers say, will complement government's effort of development. Speaking to Joy Business after Sustainability and Social Investment Awards in Accra, now, the chairman of the awarding board, Professor Douglas Boaten, said companies must be recognized for making positive impacts in their host communities.
Corporate social responsibility has been a major source of companies to help communities they operate in. By practicing corporate social responsibility, also called corporate citizenship, companies can be conscious of the kind of impact they are having on all aspects of society, including economic, social, and environmental. This year's event rewarded companies in all sectors of the economy. Professor Douglas Boating is the chairman of the board of the Sustainability and Social Investment Awards.
They were making a real impact. It was not just talk. They were following their talk with actions. And this is what we need in society. We have a tendency to talk a lot in our society, but we now need people that are implementers, that are acting their talk. And this Sustainability Awards is basically to acknowledge those that are making an impact, not just within their small community, but across the country. And the companies that have been honored.
Akosua Menu is the Deputy CEO of the National Youth Authority. She represented Samira Baumia as the special guest.
Building a sustainable future for all serves as a poignant reminder of the pivotal role our economy plays in shaping the destiny of our nation. The theme also explores the dynamic interplay between economic growth and environmental responsibility, emphasizing the imperative of ensuring that our prosperity is intricately woven with sustainability for the benefit of all Ghanaians. As we applaud the endeavors of those being honored today, it is crucial to acknowledge the profound impact that corporations, both large and small, have on the achievement of the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs.
To some agric-related stories, researchers at the Soil Research Institute of the Council for Scientific and Industrial Research have commenced an upskill of agricultural technology to transform Ghana's rice production system. The following report has more.
Consumes about 1.5 million metric tons of rice annually, with approximately 50% being imported. This pushes rice to become the second major staple of the country, providing incomes for smallholder farmers. With increasing demand for the staple crop, the government and researchers suggested the introduction of mineral fertilizer, but has since degraded the country's soil quality. To mitigate the negative impact of mineral fertilizer applications on the environment, scientists at the Soil Research Institute are integrating nature-based solutions for diversifying rice-based systems. Dr. Emmanuel Dugan is research scientist at the Soil Research Institute.
Trying to, transform our normal agri-food production system, and it's in West and Central Africa. And here in Ghana, we choose rice because we already know that crops like maize, which is a major staple food, we already have a system, mixed cropping system, and so on and so forth. But rice, even though now it has achieved the major staple level, we usually cropped it as sow rice. I mean, it's only rice field. We don't mix any other crop, but we want to change the status quo.
The project would test potential diversification alternatives in rice-based systems with either fish, vegetables, or legumes, and evaluate the agronomic and economic performance of the systems. Dr. Efum Sechianan is the lead for the project.
So basically, Africa Rice is providing sponsorship to the Soil Research Institute to diversify our rice systems, because we've realized that rice is a key staple in our food systems in Ghana. And if we want to sustain its production, then we have to see how we could employ nature-based solutions in the rice-based system. So under this project, we are integrating rice and fish. So rice and tilapia on the same field. So it's not like you have a separate rice field and then a separate fish pond. It's on the same field, and then rice and catfish. And also we want to integrate rice and vegetables and rice and legumes to enhance food security and also nutrition security.
Director of Agriculture at the Ahafano Southeast District, Martin Amwa, is upbeat about the economic prospects of the new system. He
And that's it for Prime Business. I am Pius Kojo Baka. Prime Sports is next with Razak Musbao. Do enjoy.